Detroit's NBA Cup group looked tough just a few months ago, but when we're looking at today, it looks like it might be the easiest group in the entire tournament. And we're going to go through who the Pistons are playing. We're going to go through the schedule. We're going to go through the in and out of all of these different teams. We're going to go over the league at large, looking what's going to happen for the NBA Cup. And if we're just starting off with looking who the Pistons play, Orlando, Milwaukee, Brooklyn, Toronto, there's a lot of different matchups that we're going to be seeing. And a lot of the games are pretty spaced out. We're going to be going back and forth between a few of these graphics. But when you're looking at the first game, it's in late October, and you're going almost a month until you're reaching that second game versus Toronto. And overall, for me, what I see is the NBA knows that this is a weak group. You're putting them only on one primetime game when they were just coming off a 1 seed. And yes, you have all these other star-studded teams in the East, but you couldn't do better than one. When you're talking about who the Pistons have to play, you're not having to play against Giannis anymore. You're going against an Orlando team that has a lot of question marks after a pretty bad year last year, mostly due to injury, not really doing much in the offseason, as we're going to talk about. We're talking about a Brooklyn team that is going to be rebuilding for as long as time goes on. And lastly, looking at Toronto, the Kawhi Leonard situation, how long is that going to last? How long is Kawhi Leonard going to be in this limbo between the Clippers and Toronto? When we're looking at the kind of in and out of everything going on in terms of each of these teams, Toronto, Kawhi in, kind of. Ingram out. These are kind of the key pieces moving around. Orlando, you have Vucevic in, Wagner out, and that's Mo Wagner, by the way. I first read that, and I was, oh, Franz, what the? No, it's Mo Wagner. Milwaukee, the obvious one, Giannis Antetokounmpo, out of the division. He is going to somewhere else in the Eastern Conference, someone they might have to play later in the NBA Cup. But for right now, it's Giannis out. You have Hero, Jaime Jaquez in, Ware in, Brooklyn, like we said, Randall's in, Claxton's out. To me, there's nothing that screams an absolutely difficult matchup. The one that I look at and I want to highlight the most is that Orlando Magic game. You're coming off of a rivalry that happened because of that Game 7 collapse from Orlando. You're talking about a 3-1 collapse. It's not even just Game 7. But overall, that's the team that Detroit and Orlando are going to have circled no matter what. I think, yes, you can circle the Kawhi Leonard Toronto Raptors. That's one that I think that's easy to just put on the calendar, mark it, and then just call it good. Okay, whatever. Orlando's the team that I'm going to be circling. I think that both of these teams are really looking at. I mean, at the same time, you can't really count out some of these lower-ended teams. Okay, looking at the schedule, nothing too crazy here. You have some 7:30 p.m.s. It's 7. I mean, you don't get any late games. That's because it's all across of the kind of Midwest or not in the Pacific time zone area of the NBA of the United States. So when I look at NBA at large, I don't see a division, or I guess you can call them groups, that have such an easy path as the Detroit Pistons. And if you're a Toronto fan, you're probably thinking, oh, we have it pretty easy too. We're just going against the Pistons. But I promise you, Detroit will handedly take care of Toronto. Looking at West Group A, you have Denver. That's a powerhouse. Rockets, supposedly a powerhouse. Dallas, they're getting better. And Utah even wants to be better. You even have Phoenix that wants to be good. There's not really a bad team in that mix. West B, OKC, the Wolves, the Clippers, the Pelicans, the Grizzlies. And the Grizzlies are going to be one of those, but they're going to be a grit and grind Isaiah Stewart team with Boozer as well. Like that's a division as well that's just going to be hard fought all the way throughout. West C is where you get your first taste of mediocrity with the Sacramento Kings. And what this is just showing me is that the NBA is just becoming more competitive all across the board. When you're looking at teams trying to be good, trying to compete, it's a lot of these guys. So when you're looking at West Group C, the one thing I want to look at here is you see a Golden State team that Stephen Curry, we don't know what the future for him is going to look like in Golden State. There's been reports talking about how if he wants out, they would honor that. They're not going to keep him hostage. Apologies there. They're not going to keep him hostage to his career. If you're in here right now, welcome in. We have a few of y'all in here. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment. But looking at the Lakers, that's another team you want to look at. Addition of Walker Kessler, that West Group C. You have San Antonio in there as well. That's a tough group. and then you move on to the East. And honestly, well, the last thing I want to say about the West groups is I see 3 different groups, and the one team I look at that's going to be an easy out. I guess you can put the Pelicans in there too. They haven't done anything. But you look at Sacramento and the Pelicans, and that Western Conference is just brutal. There's a lot of really good teams throughout the entire place. I mean, there's like I said, 2 teams. Everything else, I look at solid basketball teams that have built the right way and are doing things the right way. I mean, it's just a lot of great teams. And you go out East, you're looking at something really similar. I think even a year ago, in the past few years, Washington has been one of those teams that you look at, and it is absolutely disgusting. Welcome in with the zooming in on that emoji. It almost looks like Krillin from Dragon Ball. Anyways, Washington's one of those teams that I think we would call a bottom feeder in the past. You even look at Chicago Bulls, but they've made some additions, and we're seeing some people in here. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment. Do you think the Pistons have the easiest path? Because I mean, to me, I really do think so, because we're breaking down all of these right now. Chicago is another one of those teams. They're not just gonna bend over and take it. Oh, I don't even know where that came from, but with Chicago, they're not just going to lay down. They're a team that has a lot to fight for. They're a team that wants to get out of mediocrity, and I think that what they're doing so far this offseason has been tremendous. I mean, they've had some really good pieces come in, and overall, they just have a great squad. I'm excited for their future. Is it going to really turn into anything? It all depends on Caleb Wilson. I think if that works, you have a team that's going to be fighting for a while. You have a great franchise player. It's just hard to tell when you don't know what you really have at all. Yeah. I heard it. Yep. East Group B. I guess we're keeping on East C. The Hornets. That's another team that's going to kind of just not be great. But, I mean, at the same time, you have all those second-round picks. You're taking on all those salaries. You have Naz Reid. That's another team where I genuinely look at and I say, like, they're not going to be as bad as people think. But the thing is, teams have to be bad. You can't just have a full conference of good teams, because if you did, everyone would be mid, and there wouldn't be one team that stands out. That's just not going to happen. And as we look through these, I'm going to keep saying I'm really happy with these teams. I like what they're doing. I like what they're building. But overall, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just overhyping some of these teams. It feels like fantasy football whenever a player in training camp does well, it's like people go off and say he's the next, like the second coming. Cyrus Allen's one of them. I have him on my dynasty team, so I'm happy. Atlanta, another one of those teams that's making a lot of those additions that I absolutely adore what they've done. If I had to guess a team that's going to be a top 4 seed that nobody really predicts, it's going to be Atlanta. They've built something nice there. CJ McCollum has really turned his career around, and I think people thought he was kind of going out, but CJ McCollum, certified baller, surround him with a bunch of defense. Hornets will be fighting with the Bucks for the worst in the East. Yeah, and it's just teams have to be bad. Teams have to be bad, and they're going to want to get those top picks. Hornets are going to want to try to get there. But, I mean, at the end of the day, with this new lottery reform, it doesn't make sense to just tank because the odds are stacked against you. And do you really want to tank a whole season? And that's a revenue loser. Nobody's going to want to go to a Charlotte Hornets game if they're really bad. So when they were really doing good last year and they were picking up some pace, that's where I look at that squad and I say they're probably making some money for the owners. They're going to want to keep trying something. So who knows? Who knows what they're going to do? But moving up, I guess we forgot Boston too. We didn't talk about Boston. That's the best team in that one. I think it's going to be between Boston and Atlanta, and we're going to go through after we finish breaking down East B and kind of picked our favorite 2 from each of these divisions, because honestly, I'm pretty sure only 8 teams make it through. So I guess we'll do 1 and then we'll pick 2 wild cards. I just totally contradicted myself there. But East B, this one's a bloodbath. And the way that these divisions are picked is it basically takes the best team and it kind of it's like a draft. It makes it so it makes sense based on records from the previous year. And I didn't explain that well at all. But if you take the records from last year, it's all evened out statistic wise. East B, that might be the bloodbath of the century here, because I don't see one team that I look at that's going to be absolutely weak. And this is what just shows me that these are 5 teams that I look at that are going to be fighting for that top of the Eastern Conference. But then you look at East A and East C, and you still see the Wizards. Right? We didn't even touch on the Wizards, but you see the Wizards, Atlanta. I mean, the East is like 12 teams deep at this point. But East B, you have New York, defending champion. You have the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're not going away. 76ers, we all know LeBron's there, going to be the point guard, probably getting Ben Simmons back. I don't know, man. But then you have Miami with Giannis. You have a healthy Indiana team with Tyrese Halliburton and all of the other studs that they have. East B, 4 out of the 5 will be in the playoffs. Oh, I'd like to hear in East B, what team will not be in the playoffs? I'm assuming it will be the Pacers. I'm assuming that's what people are picking. Tyrese Halliburton coming out of injury. But if that's not what you were thinking, I'd love to hear it. Overall, now we're going to make these quick picks through these. East A, it's obvious it's going to be Detroit. I do think there's so many question marks regarding every other team on that list. It's just an easy decision for me to make, and I feel like you guys can all come to that same conclusion. I don't need to ramble on about it. East B, this is the toughest one, but we also have to remember, this is the NBA Cup. This isn't the NBA Finals. This is not the NBA playoffs. Teams, yes, you're going to take it seriously, but no one's ever going to take it as serious as they will a playoff game. I would like to see the atmosphere become more like that because you're getting the guys at the end of the bench. You're getting the coaching staff paid. You're getting those two-way guys paid. So, I mean, who cares, though? If I had to pick one team out of this, I'm going to go ahead and pick Philly. I don't know. That you could pick any team and you could say, okay, cool, that's fine. East C, I'm going to go ahead and pick Atlanta. I just think they're the scrappiest team out of the bunch. I'd like to pick Washington, but I do feel like you're going to have some injuries. You're going to have some people out. And so it's going to be a matter of not absolutely playing like your life's on the line for those games. You're not going to play like playoff basketball, playing 45 minutes, 8-man rotation. So I'm going to go with Atlanta for East C. West C, this is where it gets tough again. Like my heart really wants to go with San Antonio just because when you know Victor Wembanyama and the competitor he is, I think they're always going to be in that place. But I think Portland is similar to that kind of Atlanta mindset, a very scrappy defensive young team where it's like, this is the step for these teams to take. And I say that as we saw, I'm pretty sure LeBron win it the first year. So it's like, not like it's just a young kid award. It's not just preschool. Miami may struggle until they gel. They need a point guard. I'd like to see what Davion Mitchell does a little bit because I really do like what he can do. I want to see him in a more like elite system like he's going to be in and seeing how that works out. Honestly, like as much as people hate on Ben Simmons, could he be a fit there? Probably not because he can't shoot. So I just backed myself into a corner there. So yeah, I did say Ben Simmons. Oh, you can all point at me and laugh. But when we're talking about Heat point guards, they're going to have to make a move at the deadline. And I just don't know what that is because you're right there. I'm going to put that back up here. Miami's going to struggle until they gel. They need a point guard. So I want to look at some of these free agents. And we're going to do that in a little bit when we get to more of the Q&A, but I want to try to get through some of this stuff. West B, I'm going to go ahead and pick Minnesota. And LaMelo are built for that kind of playoff atmosphere. I missed a comment earlier. We're going to get back to it, but I think Ant and LaMelo bring you that kind of playoff atmosphere, and it's going to fill some seats, and they're going to want to try to do well, and they're going to want to play well. They're going to want to show that they can do something, especially in that loaded Western Conference. We talked about all these teams that are going to be so dang good. West A, I feel like I can't just keep picking the young guns and like scrappy defensive teams just because is that really truly fair? Probably not. But I'm going to go with Houston. I think Amen Thompson's going to have a huge year this year. I'm not going to say like all NBA team, but I definitely think he's going to become one of the household names in the league, and he's going to ascend, and he's going to take that offensive leap that he needs to take for Houston to become a top 4 seed for them. And overall, Amen Thompson, just like Asar Thompson, like those guys are generational talents, generational athletes, generational defenders. And I think if they can turn it around on offense, they're really dang good offenders too. Offenders, is that even the right word? Offensive players too. They're not just kind of defense. They can do a lot more. And if they grow, I mean, you're talking about top 15 players, both of them. Okay. Breaking that down really quick. We picked Houston, West A. West B, we picked Minnie. West C, we picked Portland. East C, we picked Atlanta. East B, we picked Philly. I think I picked Philly. And then East A, I picked Detroit. Onyx Black Flower, thank you so much for all the comments here. It's been kind of getting the stream up. Love to hear some more. We have a few people in the chat. Make sure that you subscribe. Make sure you like. Just because the big thing is the more you like, the more it gets pushed to more people out in the world that want to watch Pistons content. And I mean, that's what I love to do. I like talking about Pistons basketball. I like doing it with all y'all. Yeah, career-defining year for Durant. To me, every year has kind of been career-defining, and I feel like we just keep pushing it back. We keep turning the page. It's just been failure after failure in terms of dumpster fire. And I mean, looking at last year, talking about the leaks that came out about Houston, that's an awful look for KD. It's an awful look for Houston. I'm surprised that it's still not like front page and he's still on Houston. I don't know how they made that work, but career-defining year. If he wins a title here, I think that we can put all the narratives aside that he needed Steph Curry to do everything but I just don't think you're going to. I don't think that it's going to make sense. I don't think it makes sense for the team. I don't think it makes sense for where they're at. I mean, like I said, though, if Amen Thompson can take that leap, are we talking about a duo that could be a top duo in the league with him and KD? Maybe. Are they going to take it as seriously as some of these other teams? We talk about young, scrappy teams taking it seriously to get paid, get some of that money when they don't have their second contract yet. Detroit, they might be past that. They're not worried about the regular season anymore. They know that they can get to the playoffs. They know what they need to do. They followed the formula. They figured it out, and they're going to keep going with it. It's all about now, postseason. So we can talk all about NBA Cup all we want, but I mean, at the end of the day, does it really matter? I don't think so. Any news with Duren? I mean, we've talked a little bit about certain aspects of Duren over the past few months, and it's been one of those things where we're just getting little news after little news, and nothing is absolutely defining what's actually going on. I mean, I feel like people are just making up reports at this point. I'm just going to go on Twitter. Let me pull this up real quick. And what I'm going to do is just look up Jalen Duren, because we're going to see all these headlines. Okay. Oh, that's not good. I don't know if I want to put this on here because I don't know what we're going to see. People really don't like Jalen Duren in this. Yeah. I mean, there is not a lot of Jalen Duren news. I mean, it's scrolling through. The last thing we didn't even touch on it in a video, but it was Asar Thompson versus Jalen Duren. People putting them against each other on the same team. If I had to make a prediction, I genuinely think Jalen Duren's going to take the qualifying offer. I do not think. Oh, I guess we did talk about a report, or I did see one. But I think he's going to take that qualifying offer because I feel like if he was going to take an extension, he would do it now. His time in Detroit has been the most rocky as I can remember since, like, you're talking Blake Griffin. Like, yeah, that was bad. You're talking Ben Gordon. You're talking who? I mean, who is another player like Rip Hamilton? I know that wasn't great. Is that to the reaction of him taking